We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Demera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. President Rodrigo Duterte is not setting aside the ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration on the West Philippine Sea or the WPS in favor of a joint oil and gas exploration with China, Malacanang said on Thursday. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen met his Lao counterpart in Phnom Penh. The pair also discussed the disputed border between the two countries. And DPWH mobilizes inspection of SEA Games venues. President Rodrigo Duterte is not setting aside the ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration on the West Philippine Sea or the WPS in favor of a joint oil and gas exploration with China, Malacanang said on Thursday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo made this clarification after former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario said there was no need for government to ignore the arbitral ruling to give way to economic activity with China. In a media interview on Tuesday, September 10th, Duterte was quoted saying the exclusive economic zone is part of the arbitral ruling which they will ignore to come up with an economic activity. Panelo explained that Duterte did not mean that he is abandoning Philippine claims on the disputed sea by using the word ignore.
What the president means is that, as we have repeatedly said, and as he has said too, the arbitral ruling is still subject to talks between the two countries. Negotiation is ongoing peacefully, but meanwhile we focus with other concerns that may mutually benefit the two countries.
Sir, the former Secretary.
He criticized Del Rosario for his comments about the way the president handled the sea dispute, blaming him for losing control over the Panatag Shoal or the Scarborough Shoal during the previous administration.
The problem with him is he talks a lot, but as the president says, he was behind the loss of Scarborough Shoal. And moreover, the setting aside doesn't mean that we will abandon it. We've already responded to all his opinions, and he should look at himself in the mirror and admit that he is the one responsible for losing Scarborough Shoal.
Panelo also denied that Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. refuted the president when he said that China has never made ignoring the arbitral ruling a prerequisite to come up with a joint exploration.
He did not say that Philippines will drop the claim. What, as he said, the arbitral ruling is still subject to peaceful talks. Yan ang ibig sabihin nun. In other words, impasse pa eh. Kaya hayaan mo muna sila mag-usap. So let's talk about other things like this joint exploration.
Yeah, may I just quote the president?
So he's not refuting actually the president.
No.
Panelo pointed out that what Duterte meant was that he was opting not to confront China about the arbitral ruling immediately.
Kumbaga, hindi kino-confront immediately. Nag-uusap pa rin kung how to resolve it. Not set aside, but set aside in the sense na, oh sige, pag-usapan natin yan. Tuloy pa rin natin ang usapan. Yan ang ibig sabihin nun. Hindi nakapokus ka lang nun. As we have always say, the relationship between the two countries is not measured by the conflict in the West Philippine Sea.
Earlier, Del Rosario cited the suggestion of Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio to agree on a service contract agreement with China to remain faithful to the arbitral ruling. Meanwhile, for President Rodrigo Duterte, the next Bureau of Corrections or Bucor chief must have the two qualifications in terms of his management style, Malacanang said on Thursday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said although the president has yet to appoint a replacement for sacked Bucor chief Nicanor Faeldon, his qualifications for the next chief were simple.
The president has only two qualifications: honesty and competence. The president has not made any announcement on that, so we'll just have to wait for his appointing a person to replace Chief Faeldon.
Bucor Assistant Secretary and Deputy Director General Melvin Ramon Buenafec currently serves as officer in charge. Duterte dismissed Faeldon for disobeying his order to block the release of almost 2,000 heinous crimes convicts under the controversial Good Conduct Time Allowance or the GCTA law. He said he has no plans of reappointing Faeldon, who has had stints at the Office of Civil Defense and Bureau of Customs, since he is already working for the private sector. However, Duterte said he still trusts Faeldon because he believed in his honesty when he tipped off the seizure of a 3.2 billion peso worth of Mighty Corp cigarettes with fake tax stamps in Bulacan. In other news, more dead pigs suspected to have been infected by the African swine fever or the ASF were found dumped in Marikina River, alarming city and health officials. According to the Marikina Veterinary Office, as of 2 p.m. Thursday, the number of dead pigs seen in the river reached 16. They suspected that the dead pigs were from Rizal Province, where some hogs have been confirmed to have been hit by ASF and were just brought there by the current. Mayor Marcelino Teodoro said one dead pig was found near the statue of Marikit at around 8 a.m., while another 5 dead pigs were found amid floating garbage in the river. The other pigs were carried away by the current, with 2 of these retrieved near Kalumpang have already been buried. And I quote, "There is no slaughterhouse or piggery in Marikina. The dead pigs could have been from the upstream of Rizal," Mayor Teodoro said. The Department of Agriculture has earlier confirmed that 14 of the 20 tissue samples from dead pigs in Luzon were found to be positive for ASF. The DA has already ordered the deployment of local government unit meat inspection services enforcement teams to closely monitor all public and private meat markets and outlets in view of the reported increase in swine deaths in Bulacan and Rizal provinces. It has also directed the strict monitoring of unusual swine deaths in the country. Local government units were also ordered to report to the Bureau of Animal Industry or the BAI any unusual number of swine mortalities in their respective localities. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen met his Lao counterpart in Phnom Penh. The pair also discussed their disputed border between the two countries. Take a look.
នាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីទាំងពីរបានឯកភាពគ្នាដើម្បីធ្វើការរៀបចំឲ្យមានសន្ធិសញ្ញាព្រំដែនកម្ពុជាឡាវពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងសមិទ្ធផលដែលយើងសម្រេចបាន 86% រួចមកហើយ
Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. President Rodrigo Duterte will visit Russia next month. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Locsin Jr. made this revelation in his introductory remarks before the Senate Finance Committee hearing the proposed Department of Foreign Affairs budget on Thursday, September 12th. According to Locsin, the visit was to make up for his first state visit that was aborted within half a day of arriving by the fall of Marawi to jihadists, including foreign fighters. Mounted terrorists who wanted to establish an Islamic caliphate in Southeast Asia invaded Marawi on May 23, 2017, while the president was on official visit to Russia. The president declared martial law in Mindanao from Moscow. A day after, though, the palace said Duterte was flying back to the Philippines as soon as possible. Then Foreign Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano stayed behind to witness the signing of deals with Russia. On October 17, 2017, President Duterte declared Marawi liberated from terrorist influence, following the deaths of terrorist leaders Omar Maute and Isnilon Hapilon. In other news, economic ministers from countries participating in negotiations for the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, gathered in Bangkok on the 8th of September, determined to conclude the world's largest trading bloc by the end of the year. RCEP includes all ASEAN economies, plus Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. After 7 years, negotiations have reached a critical milestone as the ministers are resolved to address the outstanding issues and conclude the pact. And I quote, "Negotiators should exercise maximum flexibility to close the negotiations," said the Secretary General of ASEAN, Dato Lim Jokoy. Given today's developments, concluding RCEP negotiations this year would provide the much-needed stability and certainty to benefit regional supply chains as well as the global markets for trade and investment. Dato Lim said that failure to do so will undermine the region's trade and investment potential, putting market integration at risk. Once concluded, RCEP would create a market of over 3.5 billion people, accounting for about 30% of global trade. Its next negotiating round will be held in Da Nang, Vietnam on the 19th to 27th of September. Meanwhile, the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, or the AICHR workshop on the environment and human rights, urban pollution, was held in Singapore on the 9th to 10th of September. The workshop brought together representatives from the AICHR, private sector, civil society, the ASEAN Secretariat, and the United Nations. It comprised a session on defining urban pollution and its impact on the right to health and a session on ideas and solutions in dealing with urban pollution. Other sessions focused on the role of the youth in sustainable urban development and ASEAN's approach on the right to a safe, clean, and sustainable environment. The workshop also included a site visit to the Sustainable Singapore Gallery, located at Singapore's Marina Barrage, which showcases Singapore's efforts to create a livable and sustainable environment. The speakers and participants discussed various sources of urban pollution and its impact on health and environment, as well as how rapid urbanization and development have affected the situation and the link between human rights and urban pollution. Looking to the future, the workshop also discussed steps that individuals and business can take towards realizing a better future for the environment.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows on OSN channel 725 same day as the Philippines.
Net25 is now available on OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows live
And on demand anytime, anywhere on
any mobile device on OSN Play.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Welcome back. With more than 2 months before the country hosts the 30th Southeast Asian or SEA Games, the Department of Public Works and Highways, or the TPWH, on Thursday directed the inspection and maintenance of roads and structural assessment of venues that will be used during the regional sports event. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar issued the order as part of the preparation for the upcoming sports event to be held starting November 30 up to December 11th in different areas in the country. Along with the festivities and excitement brought by the forthcoming games, vigilance and safety of the participants and audience must always be of highest importance to avoid undesired incidents, Villar said in a statement. Aside from inspection and maintenance of existing structures, the DPWH will be responsible to report the status of passable roads and bridges, preposition personnel and heavy equipment for clearing operations, and provide transportation in case of mass evacuation. Likewise, the department will coordinate with concerned local government units or LGUs in various cities and municipalities of Region 1, 3, 4A, and National Capital Region for the conduct of structural assessment of billets and hotels that will accommodate the SEA Games participants and guests. With this, DPWH Undersecretary and SEA Games focal person Roberto Bernardo reported that ongoing construction works in areas affected by the sporting activities in Bulacan, Clark, Subic, Tarlac, La Union, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, and Metro Manila shall be suspended for 5 days before and after the SEA Games events. At least 10,000 athletes will participate in 543 sports events. Aside from the host country, Philippines, the other nations that will join the close to 2-week sports competition are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Thailand, Timor-Leste, Singapore, and Vietnam. The events will be held in different venues in Metro Manila, Laguna, Bulacan, Tagaytay, Subic, and New Clark City Sports Complex in Capas, Tarlac. The Philippines last hosted the biennial multi-sports event in 2005. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Gamera, and I'm one with 25.